didn't, but I'll quickly mention that throughout my life, despite the careers that I've had, which include military and outdoor as a guide, forestry. I've been through many different jobs, not out of employment insecurity or anything, but just always so curious. That throughout that, the commonality in my life has been the heart of an artist. But I will say, when I realized the bookings were coming in out of a sense of responsibility and accountability, I thought I better get some training here because I'm being put in a place where people are really relying on me. I did struggle with the transition, and I do understand the point on commercial work because there's many factors, I think, in any kind of project. And for commercial work, I think it would be valid to say that there is something about. I will say there was one occasion where it was for a series, and this was just a mild slight, where we were reenacting a scene, and it was to be, I was the wife and I had a husband, and throughout the day I had way more lines, way more of the action. Um, yeah, and yet they put the husband as number one on the call sheet. I would just say at the very, very beginning, I had no idea it was 12-hour days for everything. I did have a project that was in Argentina earlier this year. And that was challenging because it was during a heat wave and over 40 degrees. And for my accommodations, the first couple of nights, the air conditioner didn't work, so not a lot of sleep.
I can imagine.
So, yeah, you realize what it means to be on location for a project and how you really have to take care of yourself so that you can pull through on those 12-hour days and get. I mean, all I would say is that it's a good turn, and I'm okay if I lose out on a role because I'm not representing enough of a spectrum in this world. So I think there's a lot that we have to catch up on as far as our history and the treatment of various individuals. And I'm okay. I'm okay if I don't get a role if that was at the heart of the selection. I actually am relieved when I will have a chance to go in person for an audition because that's when I feel the most energized, is when I'm actually in the room with the director and the casting director screen. And so, but I'm amazed at how many bookings have been auditioned by self-tape, callback by Zoom, and the first time they're seeing you is when you show up on the first morning.
Have you seen the Instagram of a couple of AI actresses on your feed?
Oh, no. Oh, I just got a pit in my stomach hearing about this. Oh, that's it. I remember reading some time ago about how crime rates are down uh, as that inverse reaction to the increase of technology. In practicing the monologues and being part of the showcase, you realize it's hard to find female characters in Shakespeare plays that you can feel totally good about. Like in modern Taming of the Shrew, Catherine, who apparently was just not the good, diligent wife. It's just like,
Yeah.
I still love the words though. Oh, I don't know if I really want to be her. This is a tough industry. So it's incredibly important that you don't give all of yourself to it.
Hey everyone, this is Abhi from No-Budget Filmmaking Podcast, and here with me is wonderful Carole Brown. Hi, Carole.
Hello, thank you for that.
And
I'm Carole Brown. I'm a performer. I'm relatively newer to acting, yet been blessed with many opportunities over these past few years and found myself working quite steadily.
okay, so how did you started in acting, and what's your career stage right now?
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because I actually didn't seek it out. It kind of was a series of events, starting with my daughter, who was interested in modeling, actually. And I made a bit of a deal with her. I said, happy to support your interests, but I want to make sure you're getting enough out of this. So we made a deal that in addition to modeling, she would look at acting as well. And we have a wonderful agent in our area with representation in Toronto, Montreal, LA. And so it was actually my daughter who started with this agent. And from her experience and being a bit of a mother goose, I learned about auditioning, and this was right right when self tapes were beginning. So we actually did do a lot of driving straight to auditions at first. But then after a little while, she actually got busy. She's a varsity track and didn't have as much time. And I was still seeing the call outs from our agent for really background work. And I thought, well, that looks fairly easy and certainly could use the extra money. So approached her and said, I'd be interested in trying some of this. And the next thing I knew, she was asking me to arrange headshots. And I was like, what? I need to get a shot to the head? Like, what is it? And quickly got myself set up with a photographer and put on the casting platforms. And for me, it was lucky audition number 13 that landed a major campaign, pharmaceutical campaign. And after that, it just seemed to take off. And as I said, I've been very lucky to enjoy a series of bookings and really at the heart of it, collaborations.
Hmm. So is the bookings that you had, was it most of them were like films, TV series, verticals? What was that all about?
I think that I'd have to say in the beginning, it was a lot of commercial work, actually. And that poses a challenge in itself, I think, as a performer, because you basically have, like, out of a 30-second slot, you have to yourself, usually as a character, maybe 15 seconds of that to try to bring an entire person's life and personality to life. So that was a good starting point, and I did well with it. But especially over this past year, I've been able to enjoy films and series, actually. So uh, that has been a really great next step because I feel very prepared and like I have ideas and creativity that I can contribute to those projects.
Hmm. And did you had training afterwards, or did you went to school for the acting, or?
I didn't, but I'll quickly mention that throughout my life, despite the careers that I've had, which include military and outdoor as a guide, forestry. I've been through many different jobs, not out of employment insecurity or anything, but just always so curious. That throughout that, the commonality in my life has been the heart of an artist, whether it's art, music, painting. These are all things that I've always loved and kept me going. And now I feel that this latest chapter in performance is a culmination of all those passions that I've had throughout the years. But I will say, when I realized the bookings were coming in out of a sense of responsibility and accountability, I thought I better get some training here because I'm being put in a place where people are really relying on me to know what I'm doing and to come through for them. And for especially with the commercial work, those are huge contracts sometimes. I've been on a commercial that was 10 days of filming out of the country with a budget of 0.8 million per day. So, yeah, you want to make sure that you're prepared, that you're trained, and that you're ready to give them anything that they're looking for that's over and above even what you did in the audition, really, because you never know where the ideas are going to go.
Yeah. But in terms of performance, I think I'm not sure who said it and where I read it, but it's much, much different than acting or performing in films or a TV series or even theater.
Absolutely, I'd agree. I just came off of a film. I was the lead. And again, those are 12-hour days, but they're back to back to back to back. So you need stamina and you need to be able to dive deeper, obviously, into the story that you're bringing forward. Um, but at the end of the day, I think you're still relying on the same basket of skills. And it's all about just making that basket as big as possible so that you can just always go in there and pull something out that's needed at the
Yeah.
time.
Did you had any struggle when you or during the transition between like when someone thinks like, okay, it's commercial, I don't think it's a lot of acting, and then moving to films and TV series?
I did struggle with the transition, and I do understand the point on commercial work because there is there's many factors I think in any kind of project, and for commercial work, I think it would be valid to say that there is something um, about trying to find a certain look. Although that said, sometimes they end up with someone who looks entirely different than what they thought they were looking for, because they are looking for some kind of magic on the screen, I think. Um, no, I can't say I did struggle with the transition. Um, I'm trying to think what some of the roadblocks would have been, but I will just say that with the series and the films, it's generally much more collaborative. You've got a bigger cast, and and it's not just about delivering the performance at that moment, but certainly there is a timeline that you have to keep straight in your head because sometimes you're filming the last scene on the first day. And you have to be keeping track of the choices that have been made up till then or throughout the project. And
Yeah,
fortunately, the director will help you with that.
yeah, I think that's their job.
Yeah.
And but when you said what they're looking for, like is commercial work more based on okay, I'll just say it. Is it more based on your looks or just or is it based on your performance more? Because as far as I'm seeing outside in, it should be more like a for the look, right? For the look, we are looking for this kind of person to feature in our advertisement. Was it like for you?
I think that's sort of a sensitive area when we talk about looks in a way. And I think there's good progress that's being made on diversity. That has to be acknowledged. I think there's still a lot more to go, and there's depth that needs to be obtained with bringing forward more diversity.
Yeah.
Um, I can only speak to my experience where I found that it was about the performance, and if anything, I I would I would suggest that there's many clients who are trying to be more socially responsible, and they're trying to be very careful about not constantly putting forward just one look, but being part of the more modern social agenda. That's been my experience, but I can guarantee you that there are others who have had different experiences. Okay. Because sometimes what's in the background isn't because I'm an older woman. And I see how sometimes I get auditions for a role that is much younger, and I'm like, well, and I'm very clear on what my age group is. And it's like, well, I guess they're just exploring and they just want to have options. So, as I said, I think sometimes they're just open to seeing what someone can bring forward as an offer.
Hmm. Okay. Were you in any verticals?
Yes, yeah, this summer did a vertical. I think we're at 30 million downloads now,
Oh, wow.
and it was a great experience actually. It was everyone was very solid, and it highlighted how important it is to have your memory work down pat because you're moving through a lot of pages of script very quickly. So yeah, it was a really good experience actually. A lot of fun. Well, as I said, it's a lot of script. It's a lot of intensity. It's very dramatic. It's very dramatic. I mean, it's bringing forward kind of a soap opera theme, basically, and it's obviously, as you probably know, it's formatted in a way that you can watch it on your commute in the mornings to work. So they offer a lot of entertainment without requiring a lot of emotional investment. So it's very easy for you to kind of watch an episode, walk off your subway, and then head into work and not have anything heavy on your heart. But they're fun. You have to look at them as fun entertainment, not necessarily going deep into anything.
Hmm. Uh, okay, that brings up another question. What do you mean when they said don't go into deep? Like, is there no cliffhangers or?
Well, certainly there are cliffhangers, and that's generally how they end an episode, but you're not going to get a lot of depth in a character, a lot of um, it's very kind of face value. It's there you won't see a lot of history to each character and how they came to be with the emotional makeup that they have. It's very transactional and it's really just based on the events in the script themselves. So it's a good exercise as an actor um, to at least get to play some of those dramatic moments. Yes, but not having to go as deep as you would say with some of the feature films or anything. At the
Hmm.
backstory, yeah, that would be fair to say. But I mean, I think a good parallel is at one time there was, and probably still to a certain degree, romance novels that were easy to consume. I remember having a part-time job in this very quiet store, and my coworker would just sit by the cash register and read through a romance novel in one shift of 4 hours. So it's easy to digest, you could say. And so now I'd say with the vertical films, that's like the screen version of those books. And especially because, as we see with a lot of things, people aren't necessarily reading as much and watching more.
Yeah, that makes me sad
Same, very
because
much.
yeah, because reading opens your mind, and same as I think to similar degree, but in a different way, traveling too. Like it opens your mind and perspective to a lot of things. So, that's my belief.
No,
But
I would agree, but I think it takes a little bit of discipline now to keep reading in one's day. Even I myself, who at one time was a consummate reader, I find it's harder to instill the habit. And I still, I find because I'm often multitasking and things are busy, I'm resorting to audiobooks just so I can be still trying to learn about things and expand my mind, but still multitasking, which I think is kind of different. You don't quite use a certain part of your brain. So I make a point of thinking about what I'd want to read and putting it on my bedside and trying to instill that habit of even just 3 pages. Because I think for a lot of us, the go-to, the default is having our phone by our bedside and just looking at that before we go to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, a lot of people are guilty for that, even of that, including me. But it did. Okay, how much? I forgot my question. Jeez. Uh, it was okay. How was you did touch upon briefly um, okay, let me put it very, very sensitively because I don't want to get it screamed at. With a certain age, you join not in the really like young age. You started in a mature age. How much would you think would be different? Because I think you have seen your daughter's experience, and how different was it from yours?
Um, well, obviously the options, mm, but I mean, of course, the roles that I can consider are a little bit more limited at this time. Um, you can't, I can't necessarily be playing a mom of really, really young kids anymore. um, but I don't put that as a negative. Um, if anything, I've felt it as a strength because I've had a lot of life experience now. So, yeah, I think if anything, it's just while it limits my roles as far as age goes, I feel that having joined the industry later in life, it has meant more roles for my age group being considerable for me because with the way I've lived my life, um, I've had a taste of many different experiences, and that nurtures compassion and empathy, which are, I think, need to be at the heart of a performer. So yeah, it's meant that I can actually be diverse in some of the roles that I consider.
Hmm. And when you say your life experience helped into it, so do you pull something out from your experience of your life story when you're performing?
Yes, absolutely. And the people that I have met, and the different lives that I've witnessed. Um, I've volunteered with orphan and abandoned children. I've done some extreme outdoor sports, lived in different areas of the world. Um, I have my own family as well, and I've had and continue to have a very satisfying career outside of acting. And that just works your mind in different ways. So, yeah, you pull on all of that. And it means I'm so incredibly impressive with performers who are able to bring such authenticity at a young age or just at an earlier point in their life. And they just seem to understand those stories. And it goes to show there's some people are just very gifted and very talented in that way. That despite not having, and I guess this goes to their research, but despite not having even been a part of that world that they're portraying, they can do it so accurately. Whereas, yeah, for me, I definitely think back to things that I've seen and heard and felt firsthand.
Mhm.
Um,
And
it's more like a memory of an emotion, a memory of times when I've maybe felt lonely or disappointed or mistreated. Um, I think if you start to do direct references, then that's method acting, and I think that can be very dangerous. Um, some know how to do it, but I try not to go quite that far, and it's more just a memory of those feelings that I work off of.
Did you feel like some being discriminated against in the industry because of your age or anything else, or even your gender?
Um, I will say there was one occasion where it was for a series, um, and this was just a mild slight, where we were reenacting a scene, and it was to be, I was the wife and I had a husband, and throughout the day, I had way more lines, way more of the action. Um, yeah, and yet they put the husband as number one on the call sheet. And I thought, oh, that's interesting because I'm actually carrying more of the story here. And I have way more lines. I wonder what was behind that. And there is no difference in our stardom in any way. We're pretty
Okay.
much at the same level as actors. Um, you kind of have to decide, if that's going to be a real showstopper for you, things like that, or if there's things that you can overcome and just go the high road and let some things just sort of roll off your back and keep going. Because ultimately, I think you find people who are excellent to collaborate with. And that's I think that's how things evolve as long as you stay on a positive track. So I've had that experience with a wonderful director who's done a few series, and been fortunate to get bookings with them. And when you know that you're both in the same mind frame and you're positive and progressive, then I think those things help pull your direction.
Hmm. And was there any shock? I should have asked it earlier, but was there any shock when you got into movie and entertainment industry and you'd be like, oh, I never thought this would be like this, or oh my God, I didn't know it was like this.
Well, I would just say at the very, very beginning, I had no idea it was 12-hour days for everything. That's, um, and that's when I was really grateful because I am an athlete, and very grateful to still have some stamina to me at this age. So yeah, it pretty much doesn't matter. And I hate to sound like a bit of a newbie, but it's to this day, I am still in awe of the level of detail and work that goes into every little bit. Um, whether it's a commercial or a series or a film. And I mean, this can depend on the director as well, and just how precise they want to be with certain moments and how many options they want to have before it goes into editing and post production. But still, just and that speaks to the fact that the finished product is not just about the performer, but everyone who put everything into that moment with lighting and sound and camera angles and hair, makeup, wardrobe, and then ultimately the directors. So, um, yeah, when we see the finished product, we just think that that was it. That's how it was originally done, not realizing all of the not manipulation, but all the nuancing and refinements that go into creating those moments. So yeah, to this day, I'm still in awe and have so much appreciation for everyone who you don't see on the screen, but is like running around. You almost feel a little bit guilty at times, I find, when you have to stay put and you almost want to help. You almost want to help lift things and do things, but that's you can't do that. That's not your job. That's somebody else's realm. That's their job. You have to respect that. That's their profession. And if you do and something happens to you, then you've just messed up the rest of the day because you can't film if something's wrong with you. So
Yeah, they're the unsung heroes of the whole entertainment industry, the people who work behind the scenes. And I always admire their hard work, especially gaffers and grips. They are the one who do most of the heavy lifting. So yeah, you're right. And so currently your projects are okay, first of all, I didn't I think I missed it, or I'm not sure if you mentioned it that yeah, you were an athlete. So may I know what were you an athlete of?
well, it probably started with running, where I did run across Canada to raise funds for orphan and abandoned children. I'd spent quite a bit of time in several countries, Bulgaria, Russia, Guatemala. Even went into Sweden at one point to follow one of the children that I'd looked after in Russia and had been adopted by a Swedish family. And in coming back to North America, I wanted to continue to do something for children. So completely out of the blue, decided I would just start running. And this was quite a while ago. I think nowadays we see a lot more athletes, everyday athletes, taking things to an extreme level. And of course, there's been lots of advancements with nutrition and equipment, and all that, so it's more possible. But this was quite some time ago, where basically I was running a marathon every day, 42 kilometers, and having a peanut butter and jam sandwich with a granola bar at lunch because we hadn't even really thought about protein bars at that point. And so that set me up well to feel strong in myself, even though the purpose was fundraising and raising awareness for children. After that, though, then I did take to the mountains and I took up, it's called telemark skiing, which is a type, it's ski mountaineering essentially. So I did several glacial traverses, including up to the Yukon, the highest point in Canada, Mount Logan, and some solo trips as well. I have a soft spot for cold weather conditions. I love that. And one of the more recent ones I've done was just before COVID, was a traverse in Siberia during the month of February.
Oh, wow.
Um, and almost didn't make it back because the flights were shutting down. But then the sport that I've sustained the most, I would say, is triathlons and worked my way up to done 4 half Ironman and was all set to do my first full Ironman when COVID hit and the races were shut down. And as a busy working professional mom, like I have a professional career in addition to acting and the kids. It was just not something that I was about to go back to and try to take on the training load. So at this point, I am training for the David Goggins 4x4x48, which is 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So it's kind of a hybrid challenge. It's endurance as far as running, but it's also sleep deprivation. And I actually enjoy challenges like that, and have experience with sleep deprivation, not only as a mom, but from my time in the military.
Hmm. How long does your military career last?
So I was just over 10 years. I was an Army medic and then I became a logistician. And to this day, I still work in defense as a civilian.
Mm. Okay, so you're what's it called? Reserved?
No, so I'm completely out of uniform now.
Hmm.
So just civilian, regular dress, and I work alongside both civilian and military members.
Oh, perfect. Okay, one question follow-up. I mean, in an army hospital or
Uh, yes, I have worked in military hospitals,
hmm.
but also like out in the field on exercises and operations, because really it's all about being out on the ground. There are different tiers of care when it comes to being a medic. You can be frontline where you're out in the field. And then there is sort of also just one tier back where there's a field hospital. And then in my case, I actually have worked at our medical clinics that are part of the bases.
Okay. Okay. In terms of your entertainment industry work, is it most of it is were only in Canada or were you worked around the world as well?
I did have a project that was in Argentina earlier this year. And that was challenging because it was during a heat wave and over 40 degrees.
Okay.
And for my accommodations, the first couple of nights, the air conditioner didn't work, so not a lot of sleep.
I can
So,
imagine.
yeah, you realize what it means to be on location for a project and how you really have to take care of yourself so that you can pull through on those 12-hour days and get your sleep and stay hydrated and get sustenance into you, like food that is you like and can enjoy. So yeah, that was a good learning curve for that.
Hmm. So no work in USA.
No, but I have had the fortune of working alongside a lot of American talent because fortunately there are a lot of projects that come up to Canada, so north of the border. And for example, with the vertical film, our two leads were from LA.
There, or is there one city that is just representative of like LA here, of a film city in a way? Um, yeah.
I think that dilemma resonates everywhere. Um, and I guess as an actor, you have to decide how much you're willing to give. Because I think when you start off, it's important to find a community and give people the chance to get to know you and what your skill level is. And so, in that way, those volunteer projects do have the silver lining of providing you with exposure and meeting other people who are in the industry and and getting your name out there. But there is a point, I understand, where it just doesn't feel like you're being compensated for the work. Um, so you really have to ask yourself before you. I think I was saying that that's a global dilemma for a lot of performers, um, and you have to realize when you've reached a point where you just don't want to be doing things for free anymore. But I mean, these volunteer projects can be helpful because they help you to create the footage that you can then bring to an agent and show them what you can do. I mean, this is a job. This is about your skills and what you can bring to the table, and they need the evidence of that. So you can't expect necessarily to be hired right out of the gate. So these volunteer projects are very helpful, and it's how you can grow, and it's how you can get to know people and create a sense of community. Um, and if you find that you're reaching a point where you feel it's all you're doing, I think one thing you have to look at is how much do you enjoy working with those people on a volunteer project? Perhaps these are friends, not just like-minded people who are trying to get ahead in the industry. And I think that's a really good barometer is um, looking at the individuals around you and knowing who you want to invest in and collaborate with. So, but I understand it's very frustrating when there's people who are using your skills um, without the compensation. Um, but I think that maybe happens as you get into those more professional gigs, and you're like, really, that's it for the day. And I think there's work that has to be done there for sure.
Yeah. And so a lot of movies are not shot in LA anymore.
Mhm.
Well, it has been changed a little because of the new laws and everything. But a lot of movies have been shot in Toronto, Canada, or Ontario, Canada, if I'm not
Mhm.
wrong, right? And previously, before I started recording, you were talking about you have a lot of studios in Montreal.
Yeah, there's a great one, I think called Mel's, and I did a project there and saw the posters on the wall and could see how many films that it had actually done. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
So there's no one city there that is the shooting city. It's more of a not a shooting city. I mean, not a film city there. It's like it's a multiple places throughout the Canada, if I'm not wrong.
Well, I would say at the forefront, it's been Vancouver and Toronto. Understandably, with Vancouver being directly north of LA, basically. So for quite a while, it was sort of between those two. What I'm hearing, especially from the American talent that is coming up, that they notice it's more and more in Toronto itself. So there is still some projects that are happening in Montreal, and there's a lot of amazing talent in Montreal, actually. But I think the heart of filmmaking is settling in Toronto, from my informal sources.
And the Montreal, it's the French speaking part of Canada, so I'm assuming it's more French-based cinema.
There is more French opportunities, but it's a bilingual region, so you'll get both. You'll get both English and French.
Okay, okay, okay. That's interesting to know. Okay. Also,
I've
we
missed
won,
out on
by the way.
opportunity. I've missed out on opportunities because my French just wasn't good enough.
Yeah. Were you ever involved with the fashion side of things or modeling side of things? Because I'm assuming that that's not restricted by age either.
So true. No, I um, don't. First of all, I'll mention I can't walk in heels. At all. Like, my agent actually holds an annual showcase, and we've got lots of great casting directors that come out to it, and you basically can walk down the runway and give them a sense of your look. And I'm usually at the front entrance just checking everyone's passes because, yeah, I cannot manage at all in heels. And I'm a petite person as well. And I think there's still a tendency to want someone with a bit more of a taller frame just to fill the camera and create some interesting positions and show off the clothes and everything like that. So, no. Plus, I wouldn't. I don't know that I'd enjoy it. I'm really passionate about people and their lives, and every day I look out and I'm so curious about what it's like to be another person. So that's kind of what consumes me and makes me want to be active in this industry. Before, I was trying to live many different lives. And now that I've discovered acting, it's like, oh, this is so much easier. I can just pretend to be living these lives rather than actually trying to do them now.
Yeah. To correct you on your before on a previous statement of yours that I have a friend, she's like 5'2", and
Right.
she is really active in the modeling scene. So
Yeah.
For a runaway model, yeah, it's still a case that you need to be taller from 5'8" to above, I guess, for
Right.
women. But I don't think for the ones who are mainly for photo shoots, I think there's a issue. So you can try if you want to.
Right.
And yes, and heels are uncomfortable to walk because I tried to walk in when I was little in my mom's heels, and yeah, those were really tough.
Oh my gosh, why? Why? Torture.
Yeah,
Torture contraptions.
I was just a curious kid. What do you expect?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that was great that you're curious on them. But man, I wish there was a more comfortable way to be elevated so I could see people eye to eye.
Yeah, I think it's for guys. It's like those boots, those not cowboy, yeah, cowboy boots, and those thick woodland boots that have like this big of a sole.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
love
you might try that.
that.
Okay, apart from I still get uh, I forgot my question again. It's how much auditions are you seeing now that are more based on the looks? Which I mentioned earlier, like they specify your ethnicity, your everything, even your hair color sometimes.
Well, sometimes, especially if they are trying to have you resemble a real life person, there's no getting away from that then. And that's been the case with a couple of series this year. Um, the majority of time, I see a request for diversity. And I actually think that how I look can sometimes work against me in that way.
Hmm.
Um, Very much so, actually. Um, so the majority, I would say, are asking for diversity. In the cases where it's a real life person, of course, they have to be specific, or it's just sometimes they do a revised call out because they've selected one cast member. And if you're going to be their mom or
Hmm.
their aunt, there has to be some kind of resemblance. So they put that out there.
Hmm.
Um,
That's you bring up an interesting point when you ask more of the quote unquote diversity, sometimes it works against some people as well. Because diversity just does not mean not white people in a way, right? It can
mhm,
also be like more gender fluid person and they can happen to be
mhm,
any ethnicity. So
mhm,
uh,
mhm.
can you go a little bit deeper on that, please?
I mean, all I would say is that it's a good turn, and I'm okay if I lose out on a role because I'm not representing enough of a spectrum in this world. So I think there's a lot that we have to catch up on as far as our history and the treatment of various individuals. And I'm okay. I'm okay if I don't get a role if that was at the heart of the selection.
Hmm. And you're seeing these casting callouts more and more, or
I see them on a very consistent basis, the request for diversity. Yeah, absolutely. I can
Hmm.
only speak to so far to the experience though, because I have worked with individuals who were of more of an ethnic variety or from a minority group. And from them, I've heard that they often feel that there really isn't enough being done there, that there's still lots of work to do. So,
We were talking about that yesterday with my friends. Like, have you noticed that after COVID, a lot of people have unfortunately lost their social skills?
absolutely. Absolutely. I find that there isn't even a basic awareness of one's physical presence when in a public place. and a lot of people are walking around just not even being careful, from knocking into people or how to form a line or like just basic courtesies. I couldn't agree more, actually. And yeah, I'm a bit worried. And I think I'm worried that people will lose empathy for one another because we can just live in our own silo now, and real physical human interaction, it's very easy to avoid that and go without that in your day. um, it's certainly nice when there's technology like this that allows you and I, who are quite far away, to connect, and I'm grateful for that, but I think there's definitely something that's being lost.
Yeah. And in the entertainment industry, I think I have seen it as like more self-tapes now. Most of it is not driving to auditions anymore.
Oh, completely. Yeah. I actually am relieved when I will have a chance to go in person for an audition, because that's when I feel the most energized, is when I'm actually in the room with the director and the casting director. And I feel like the ideas are flowing much more fluidly. And that's what it's got to be about, is actually being in the moment and being present, and um, in with that kind of organic experience, ideas will be coming a lot more quickly, as opposed to through a screen. So, but I'm amazed at how many bookings have been auditioned by self-tape, callback by Zoom, and the first time they're seeing you is when you show up on the first morning. So, I mean, I'm grateful because I'm really busy, but um, yeah, I
You
imagine,
lose something.
I think so. And hopefully people stay aware of it, especially as we're battling the battling AI that is just seeping into everything, and especially in entertainment. And there's movies, like the idea of making movies now with AI images is out there, but hopefully those will remain, not as a substitution, just a whole different separate category of filmmaking. Because ultimately, I think people are interested in real people with real lives who can create spontaneous, in the moment performances, as opposed to something generic that's been programmed and engineered.
So, yeah. Have you seen the Instagram of a couple of AI actresses on your feed?
Oh, no. Oh, I just got a pit in my stomach hearing about this. Oh,
Yeah, there's been AI actresses and their AI models, and they have their whole agency. So there's this AI casting agency that if you want this particular AI actress to be featured on your film, you have to go through us. So
the interesting matter of almost intellectual property. Like, you, as I guess when you say there's agencies, they're suggesting that they own this face and this voice and these movements. And I hate to think that we can be that compartmentalized as humans.
yeah.
It's
Uh,
dehumanizing, actually.
It is dehumanizing, and the most worrying part is that how realistic it looks.
No kidding. No
Yeah.
kidding.
Even in the okay, I might revealing my secret here, but the image that you see on my Instagram, it's actually AI, it's not me. I just
Okay.
composited something on top of that because I didn't have any costumes. I just did that just an experiment to see how many people would catch on. And
Mm.
apparently, from my 400 or 500 friends, I have two different accounts, and none of them were able to catch on to it. So
Wow. That's kind of scary.
yeah,
um,
that is scary. And I didn't do anything else apart from like some filter or something. I just told AI to just put me in a costume, and it did.
Wow. I'm hoping, and I think by now you've probably realized I'm an optimistic person and I do like to think positively. Um, my hope is that this will just become a separate category, um, a different form of artistry and storytelling, and that it doesn't erode or diminish the work of us as real performers. But I know it'll be almost like a whole new form of crime because I think we've already seen with some of the A-list actors, their voice, when they didn't give permission to have their voice used for something, well, they just created an AI replica of it. And so they've lost agency, they've lost control over their own attributes. So that may just be a whole new stream of crime in a way.
Yeah, same as when internet started, there were a lot of no, there were no in online laws in general because there was like the cybercrime thing was so new that it took almost a decade for them to figure out what to do with it.
That's it. I remember reading some time ago about how crime rates are down uh, as that inverse reaction to the increase of technology. But from all the technology, it's given birth to a whole new form of crime, and they call it white collar crime because it's all behind a computer, basically. Um, hard to measure which one is more dangerous or has more of an impact. It's the same, but in different ways.
Yeah. I would say if I have to comment on that would be like what's worse, a physical crime or a psychological crime?
Hmm. No kidding. That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people. Uh, it's so sad to see sometimes a lot of people saying so much of. I'm losing English, my English here, English. I've been seeing so many hate comments on things. People make people believe that they're born ugly or they're born wrong because they are not for some reason, one reason or another, and it's just so sad. And I think it's because of the fact that I can call the most a person who is 100 times stronger and dangerous than me an idiot, and I can get away with it technically. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Like a lot of technology, it can be either a tool for good or for harm, depending on how it's used. And I think in some ways it's helped some people because they've been able to see others out there talk about similar experiences and they know they're not alone with some very challenging and concerning feelings. But then at the same time, I like what you said actually about the psychological damage that can really be done. Um, yeah, I try to be very aware through my day of how much I'm looking at my screen and then how much I'm just eyes up. Turn on the radio, try to find some good music, keep that book at the bedside, go out for a run. And I've learned to try to go for a run without music just so I can hear the sounds of nature. That's incredibly healing. So,
what book are you reading right now?
would you know Judy Dench?
Yes.
It's her recollection of all of these Shakespeare performances she's done in her career, and it's called Shakespeare, the Man Who Pays the Rent. And it's really well written because you just get to pick it up and you can kind of start on any chapter. They're all separated according to the plays of Shakespeare. And it's easy to read because it's dialogue. There's an interviewer and then her responses. So it's the perfect book for me to get back into the habit of reading. It's like just jumping in on a conversation. And I happen to love Shakespeare.
Hmm. Yeah. I love his work too, especially I guess what's your favorite play if I have to ask?
I guess I'm supposed to call it the Scottish play. Um,
Oh, okay.
I think it's
Yes, yeah,
bad luck.
we cannot say it. You cannot say the word. The Scottish play, yeah.
In part because it is the shortest play. So
Hmm.
that's nice, getting to the end a little quicker. And I learned it in high school. And I had an English teacher that made every single one of us in his class memorize a passage. And I think that was the first time I realized how much you could enjoy words and saying words, really. And in this case, poetry, actually, all of it is poetry. So I just finished doing a Shakespeare showcase, and it's great training when you're up doing these vertical films or anything that has any intensity or drama to the moment, high stakes. If you've done Shakespeare, you know all about high stakes. So it's a
Yes.
very good training ground.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And most of it is like, and the passage, if you're playing the lead or even not the lead, the passage that you read is just so, there's not even a word for it, like serene, right? You feel every emotion with literally every single word, even the pauses. So,
I love that. So true. And it's multi-layered. There's so much imagery in every line and every word. And then the more you read it, um, the more connections that you make and realize the multiple meanings of even just one word. It's pretty brilliant. But I will say sometimes as a female, it can be hard to find roles, and I've yet to do a full Shakespeare performance, so I'm not trying to sell myself too much here. But in practicing the monologues and being part of the showcase, you realize it's hard to find female characters in Shakespeare plays that you can feel totally good about,
okay.
like and modern.
Yeah.
Taming of the Shrew, Catherine, who apparently was just not the good, diligent wife. It's just like,
Yeah.
I still love the words, but oh, I don't know if I really want to be her.
Yeah. Yeah. Would it be wonderful? And I'm fairly certain you would join if you get to do a Scottish play, but the gender reversed.
Yes, yes, that would be interesting. Although I did just finish a monologue from Antony and Cleopatra as Cleopatra, and I loved it because it's rooted in history. It was one of the times where Shakespeare took real life and had it in a play where she loses the love of her life, Mark Antony.
Hmm.
But as was true in history, she was a powerful, intelligent woman, one of the first leaders to actually speak the language of her people, and a real political strategist. And you have to think she actually positioned her relationships in a way that, in the back of her mind, she knew would be politically advantageous. So I thoroughly enjoyed doing her monologue.
Yeah, there's a reason she is famous because she is, if not the, but one of the best and infamous leaders of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And okay, now I want to about your future project, which would you love to share with us?
Well, we have a wonderful series. It is based out of Toronto. It's called The Office Movers. The two brothers behind it, I believe it's Jermaine and Trevon, brilliant, creative comedians. Their series is going to the second season. It starts next week, and I'm in one of the episodes with that show. And then there's also a new series that's coming out, Death in the Wild. which looks back at some of the just incredible, dare I say, crimes that have sadly occurred in the beautiful forest landscape. So there's quite an incredible paradox in some of those stories, and I'll be in the premiere episode. I also just finished a film, I think we're a month ago now, uh, that's, and this is what I'm saying more, it's sort of between a short film and a feature film that's in post-production, but that probably won't be coming out for another year. And then also one of the films that I finished just over a year ago, modern horror, on the memoirs of Andrea Werhun. That just had its official launch at the TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival, and it's now starting its circulation, so folks can look out for that.
Mm. And if uh, if you want to give someone a message who is listening to you right now and thinking about joining the industry, maybe they have NEX issues. Maybe they think they're short, they're not attractive enough, they're not talented enough. What would be your advice to them? Or one word you want to say?
That this is a tough industry. Um, so it's incredibly important that you don't give all of yourself to it, that you keep self care and health paramount. And I don't just mean getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, getting your exercise, but making sure that you have other things in your life that make you happy and keep people in your life that know you, understand you, the real you, because those things will keep you grounded, they'll keep you human, and they will keep you happy as you go into an industry that doesn't always give a whole lot of love back, despite the fact that you probably have tremendous skill and an incredible craft. People have to remember that when you put an audition forward, you could have done an absolutely perfect audition for you, and it still may not be selected because that's not the nature of the industry. So knowing that's what happens, you have to take care of yourself and still continue to fill yourself out as a person and try to be well-rounded and make sure you've got other things lined up that you can enjoy. Ultimately, they'll feed back into your craft anyways. So if you, even if you feel like, oh, I've got to stay focused and I've got to keep it the priority as far as my acting, it's okay. You can do other things and it will all benefit your craft.
Hmm. Uh, you bring up a new, thank you very much. That was really beautiful words. Thank you for that. And one more thing, you said you had a day job or other professional jobs. And if you were doing this the full time without that day job, it must be, would it be really hard for you to manage your finances?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's ideal if you can manage a job outside of acting because it means, just as I was saying, when you put in an audition and you don't book it, it doesn't end up spiraling you deeper into a sense of desperation, frustration. Um, and I feel like if you're coming from a place of security, you're actually going to give a better performance. And there won't be that undertone of, I really need this, I'm really desperate. And that could come out in different ways, even if you give a good self tape. Maybe in your interactions, you've got a bit of low level anxiety or stress that's coming through because of how much you not only want that role, but need that role for the finances. So I understand it's hard to juggle things, but that's a very valuable skill if you can learn how to time manage and be organized and be professional so that you can have that other job that just has you sitting pretty.
How did you manage that?
Well, for me, I started with my career. And then, as I mentioned, it was just because of my support for my daughter's interests that I got exposed to the industry. To this day, I really, fortunately, I'm the kind of person I like to always be busy. And my mind is very active. So I'm not the type to necessarily sit and watch a lot. I try to because that's a form of research, but I can't do the binge watching. I can't sit still for very long. So by virtue of that, I'm able to keep up on my day job and then get those auditions in there as fast as I can as soon as I've come through at work and for my kids. And having a healthy lifestyle helps you to keep the energy up in that way.
Please, 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 I'm begging you. Please. I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. Please subscribe. Subscribe for more content. Like, comment, and subscribe.